but here it is. This is for Cancer. This is for the month of January 2025. What's coming in for you? Actually, looks like it's pretty good working energy, just so you know. I would say at the core of it, really, there are some good things. And how I do my readings, and again, this is only if it resonates for you. How I do my readings is I'll do just the general energy of what's out here, and then we will do clarifiers following that. Usually, what I would say is the major arcana tend to be more the milestone, the big stuff, but these are all minor arcana, really. And even though the clarifiers have a few major arcana, that's not really that, maybe the underlying tone, but it's not really the where you're at on the overall. So, what I'm seeing here is the King of Pentacles. So this is somebody who has money or could have money, at some point there's, because it's whether you or a mentor or whatever, there's some kind of energy here that's quite stable. So this again is a bit of an emotional snapshot. So I'm going to turn that light back on. So it's a bit of an emotional snapshot here. So what I would say here is the King of Pentacles kind of indicates to me that um, there is that energy at, because, sorry, I'm just kind of tying it in with, I'm just taking a look at the other ones real quick here just to get a bit more of a synopsis, because I did pull some at the bottom of the deck here too, which I'll pull over. But as to the question of what's coming in that was positive. So even though I feel like there is overall some sense of insecurity or confusion, unspoken fears, not fully understanding why you're doing something, why you're uncertain inside, but there's emotions that seem to come in waves. I would say that you're keeping a lot of your emotions in a private mode. We do have, of course, the Ten of Swords here, so there is that energy of not feeling, just not feeling like you're 100% sure of yourself. There is that, it's not danger energy, but it's more of an inner uncertainty. So I would say that the three together, the King of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles, sorry, and the Ten of Pentacles is here too, could be dealing with a family situation here, dynamic of not feeling good enough, especially in terms of ambitions, but there is strong take control energy, but there is also that energy of the Two of Pentacles here with the King of Pentacles. So it's like you're not really sure of yourself in terms of your grounding or your foundation. It's like you feel capable. Sorry, you feel capable in some way here with the King, and it is a strong, reliable energy, and it certainly feels like you want respect. But so there's a desire to be okay, self-sufficiency, that kind of thing. But at the same time, with the two there, it feels like something's not quite right. Something is off. You feel like you're juggling. You're trying to balance your expectations, your emotions, or a role, all of those things. So it's not really coming out quite the way you want it. We do have the Ten of Pentacles, and again, that's more along the lines of a family structure, a family dynamic, or a sense of belonging. Those are the things that really matter to you. So it feels like there is a sense of, you don't feel like you're measuring up with the Four of Swords. So I feel like there's a pullback energy, that you may be resting at this time, but whatever this is around that energy here, it still feels like you have a sense of self that's closely tied to feeling secure and supported by a family dynamic, family unit, or whoever you consider family to be. But it still feels like it's a stable structure. I would say that you want to feel solid and valued, but right now you're unsure of whether or not you're measuring up in some way in terms of stability, identity, or a place, or your place in your family, or the place in the world, things along that line. Now we also have, again, that was the Four of Swords combination next to the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles was really our main card out here. So this one really tells me there's something here that kind of speaks to you're mentally tired. You need rest. You're retreating inward to sort of cope through situations. The feelings of being left out are here, like not feeling like you're good enough, measuring up, or emotionally unsupported in some way. Even if the support shows that it's here, you're just not seeing it, because your mind is overriding, what's actually around you. And that's often what we do, is we pigeonhole an emotion and say, well, because I feel this way, everything has that gray overtone, or that, marginal, or not feeling like it's in any way positive, because it has the contrast is gray and not rosy, right? So anyway, the point is that you feel a little bit internal. I would say you feel isolated or in some way, abandoned, or you're just not feeling connected. Now, the fact that we have the Chariot here, which is right underneath that Five of Pentacles, tells me there's still a strong will to push forward, regain control, and prove a level of resilience. So there's something here that's still positive, even though it goes back and forth, especially with the Ten of Swords energy. That Ten of Swords also speaks to, there's been a lot of hurt, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of emotional exhaustion, like you can't take much more of this, things along that line. And I definitely feel like, there's something here that's still heavy, but it feels discouraging. And yet there's really you actively trying to defeat that energy. And that's what the Emperor is. So it's like you know that you're under strain, but there's resilience here and you're not giving up. So that's a very good energy. You're not letting things defeat you. Now, if we were to, sorry, look at some of the other cards that I pulled that kind of fell out. This would be the Six of Wands. Six of Wands is that take charge energy as well, but it's also a win. It's wanting a validation and reassurance, things of that sort. So I feel like that you are, you want to know that you're doing okay. And that's really what that energy speaks to. So we do also have the Nine of Cups, which is an excellent card, and that's certainly one of feeling some level of self-satisfaction. So what I asked on this one is, what were the good things that are coming in? And so that was the good things. There is a win coming in for you. You will get some kind of admiration and respect for the things that you're doing. You also have a sense of an emotional, something that'll make you emotionally satisfied. It is going to make you happy. And it certainly feels like it is some level of a win. Happiness is possible here, and there's still a lot of hope and emotional desire with the Nine of Cups. And not only that, the good thing that's coming in is also the justice. Things are going to balance out. Things are going to be a lot more fair. You're thinking about, you want to be understood and not judged and those kinds of things. But all of that, this is Libra, Gemini, Aquarius energy here as well. But there's something that's going in your favor, and especially when it's followed up by the Sun. The Sun is also that card of a warm, open, optimistic sort of energy. And it definitely feels as though there's going to be, it strongly counters anything that's negative in the read here. So just know that at the core, you are capable of joy, and you are going to be able to overcome whatever the negative energies were that you're still struggling through. So despite the confusion and the fatigue, your inner identity is not broken or dark. It's actually just bruised. So you're not really lost. It's more of, right now you're just feeling uncertain and emotionally tired, but you're trying to appear steady. So while feeling internally unbalanced, I feel like you are still sensitive. You're still feeling like you belong somewhere here with the Ten of Pentacles as well. And you do know on some level there is some kind of approval or hopeful quality coming in. And there is definitely, even if it's kind of a quiet, understated energy, so there's no indication of anything that is negative or self-destructive or any kind of emotional overload or anything that would be putting you in any kind of unsafe situation. Everything is coming through as balancing out with a calm assurance, or reassurance, especially with that Six of Wands. So again, there's more of a fair, non-judgmental, listening kind of energy with the Justice. So I definitely feel like this is time for, space and processing. And it's gentle reminders here as well with the Sun card. It's gentle reminders, that things are starting to change. And there is going to be more consistency and a warm problem-solving kind of energy as well. So I feel like, you're trying really hard. Even though you feel unsure of yourself, your inner world is cloudy right now, but the presence of the Sun, the Nine of Cups, the Six of Wands, your sense of self is still intact, and it's really capable of so much more joy, and there's a lot more confidence and support that's coming through that you may or may not be seeing at this time. But I do feel like things are going to turn in more of a positive here. So again, in short, it's just a temporary emotional fog that you're kind of struggling with right now. But this is the Nine of Cups. This is the happiness card. So it's like you're in a recovery phase is what I would say. So it's not a decline. It's actually that you're uncertain and tired right now. And it does feel like you are moving forward with the Chariot. And again, there's just a lot of energy here that still speaks to things unfolding gradually over the next few months. So give yourself a break is really what I would say there. There is noticeable improvement before it fully stabilizes, but I definitely feel like, um, there is progression. So yeah, I would say over the next 3 to 4 weeks, there's probably something more along the energy of, because there's a lot of pentacles, so there's slow internal processing, but there's also that pause, rest phase, and then there's something here about, the unclear emotional state. So whatever you feel emotionally unsure about, just know that it's like you're conserving your energy, thinking about it quietly, and you're withdrawn, and you're, at this time, more inconsistent, but it does not mean it's staying that way. Where it's headed to is an internal shift. So there is going to be movement after this period of stagnation. You're just kind of dealing with the trail or tail end of the heavy mental cycle, that 10 of Swords. So it's not ongoing. And like I said, Chariot is the clarifier. So you're not quite there, but that's what's coming in. And so mentally, I feel like you're getting ready to decide to push forward. Emotionally, the heaviness starts to lift and you regain a sense of control. So again, really good cards. I just feel like, again, that emotional satisfaction will be returning here because this is what came through in what's coming in for you as the positive. So you're going to see this very much sooner than you think. And that'll improve your mood, which will improve your openness, which will improve, steadier behavior, believing in things again, and much more optimistic in terms of your self-image and all of that. So all of that's going to be validated and improved. But overall, like I said, there is a real strong grounded energy, stable sense of yourself here with that King of Pentacles. And overall, I do feel like it's a healthy, brighter baseline. So I feel like 1 to 2 months, there's kind of a mental shift, letting go of the heaviness. 2 to 3 months out, more confidence and emotional satisfaction start to build. 3 to 4 months, more stable, brighter emotional footing. And then, like I said, it feels like it's pause, effort, and then you get clear. So it's some kind of an inner change. It's not a surface mood, but it is going to show up in the surface a little further out. So again, the Sun is really the card that is kind of the emotional telling arc of all of this, because the Ten of Swords is kind of in the Five of Pentacles, or where you're sort of at right now. But the Sun is going to be coming through. So you're resilient quietly, even if you're temporarily unsure of yourself. So overall, I just feel like steady presence, is kind of how you're showing up. Now, what I would say as far as, as far as what's practical and grounded, just to kind of give it as more of a synopsis, like again, there's more positive developments and a healthy coping mechanism that's starting to show up here. But I would still say you're going to experience moments where you feel, some good things in terms of feeling more noticed. There's going to be moments of that, more praise, more validation, more peers, more accomplishments, more family, or something around you that it's improving. And it feels like that helps to restore your confidence, and it helps you to feel like you're doing okay. So emotionally, you'll start to feel seen instead of overlooked, that kind of thing. Things will start to turn around. And again, the overall card that is, one of the best ones here was the Nine of Cups. The Emperor is, again, more structure, and I feel like you're going to be implementing more structure in your life. But again, there's also something here about doing a lot of work on yourself, but you're regaining that happiness factor back. Again, the justice, the balance, the fairness, that's your justice card. But this is comfort. This is where there's a lighter mood again, where you can breathe, you can trust your good feelings, and they are allowed to sort of show up here now. And it is still in the energy of the next few months. So it's starting out in January, but there's definitely joy, vitality coming back here. And like I said, I feel like you're going to start to feel more acknowledged. And instead of doubting yourself, you're going to reconnect, with a lot more confidence. And you're going to radiate that natural warmth, because you are an emotional sign. So it's not sudden perfection. It's about steady emotional improvement. So best advice I would say here is, every time you have a negative thought, just remind yourself, is there evidence for this? Is there another explanation? Replace that harsh self-talk with something that's more neutral, more fair energy. things of that sort. And again, when you say you're bad at everything, that's not realistic. We're not bad at everything. You might be struggling at this time with some things, but that doesn't define you. It's just the situation at the moment. And again, sort of key things to kind of take away from this are, it's okay to feel the feelings. They're valid, but they shouldn't control your outcome. It's something about pause, before you react. So ground yourself, with things like name 5 things around you, break the anxiety cycle, slow, steady breaths, meditation, all of those things. What do you feel? What's the next step? Write it down on a page, get it out of your head so you're not overwhelmed with things. But focus on your effort and your choices and your values, not the outcomes. Just take the next step and the next step and the next step. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. Just take small, consistent actions, rather than big emotional steps, that kind of thing, or swings, because the whole point is you want to be grounded. You want you want to take in the lesson, learn from it, and choose wisely, not from a place of heavy duty stress, because that's when you tend to make, poorer choices. So again, there's sort of a simple, honest, open, optimistic kind of period now where the happiness is, you're getting glimpses of it in this next few months. But just let yourself enjoy the progress. Don't question everything. This is really about, you don't need to earn the rest or the happiness. Just feel good about doing whatever it is that you're doing. Live in the moment. And then, don't be suspicious of everything, because confidence grows when you acknowledge yourself and your strengths and your ability to keep moving forward, right? So anyway, it's a really good, read ahead here. Confidence building, emotional happiness, a lot more fairness and justice, and a return to warmth and joy. So again, this is not pressure. It's going to be reinforcing more progress for you. So that's what I have for you, Cancer, for the next few months, more specifically to starting to January. Keep moving forward, never give up. And until next time, this is your read. We'll do your finances, I think, here in a little bit. But actually, maybe I'll just pull a card on what your finances are looking here, a couple of cards. What's happening with the finances in the month of January for Cancer? What are the finances looking like in the month of January for Cancer? Okay, maybe feeling like you missed out on some opportunities or a situation, but there's still some things that are not yet seen for you, that are not in your energy yet. What's the High Priestess? What's the Four of Cups? Okay, there is a collaborative energy here. Financially, what's coming in for you in January? Four of Cups, High Priestess, Four of Wands, King of Swords, bottom of deck, Knight of Pentacles, and there's also 2 4s in this reading. So what I want to say there is 4s, of course, are all about the balance. It does feel like things are still okay. I don't feel like you're in it's still strongly emphasizing stability and just be patient. But I would say you feel bored or unimpressed with something, like things aren't happening. It feels like you're uncertain about a financial situation, but something's not looking good or exciting at the first glance, but it doesn't mean that that's where it stays, because the High Priestess, even though you're not quite in the energy of something moving ahead here in terms of your finances, I would say there's more going on beneath the surface. So your intuition matters here. You need to sort of trust that process. So again, I feel like there could be some delayed information here, or something improves with time, but I do feel like January may not bring obvious financial excitement or anything great yet, but it still indicates that you have to recognize what's actually useful for you right now. The Four of Cups with the Four of Wands, that's stability, and it certainly still feels like you can breathe. Sure, there's more home stability or predictable income or something more along that line, but the King of Swords tells me with the High Priestess, there's still something here that could be coming in, that's, where there's going to be some firm boundaries around the budgeting and planning and smart decisions, over any kind of emotional spending. So I feel like you're taking an organized, mature financial sort of mindset. So I feel like right now, whatever you do build will last. You are doing the right thing. Keep going because the fours represent stability, foundations, and security. So you're protecting what you already have and you're trying to strengthen your base before you expand, is what I see there. So it's not any kind of a loss, it's more of a maintenance and a strengthening phase in the month of January. So it's still, gaining more clarity and control over what you can do financially. It's still about doing stable things, predictable footing, all of that. But you're making good or better money decisions. It's slow but dependable energy. There's not a lot of risk or anything like that here. No dramatic changes. I just feel like you're going to have to trust your intuition on this. Because your foundation, you have to trust that foundation before you expand because there's two fours here. So anyway, really good energy. I would still say February, March. March might be a little bit more along the lines of stabilizing and planning is what's happening in January. So February and March, I would say, is more the gradual movement. Where you have because you have that confidence that's building. I feel like you know where you stand, and then you can move forward. So there may be in February more of a slight increase around money, a better understanding of what works, what doesn't. You're making logical decisions. So, like I said, in February, so instead of emotion, you're going to start to notice if you have a bill or an obligation, you finally feel like you know what to do, you know how to look after it. There's a clearer plan forming. Even if your income isn't really jumping yet, it feels like there's less anxiety about the money in the day to day situation. So, I feel like you are still maintaining a sense of control. There's going to be more expansion in February and March, but it's still more planning. So you're less second guessing yourself, I would say, because again, you've got more confidence in February. So there's security and reliability there. I would still say you want to be careful about overthinking things like that, waiting too long. Once you get the clarity, you need to sort of try to find a way to implement something. So March, I feel, is more of a stronger, stable, less stress zone for you. And again, more reliable financial improvements. So something might be coming in there. I won't pull cards on that just yet. We'll just kind of leave it at that. Don't want to make the read too long or I won't have any power on my phone. So keep moving forward, guys, but you are making some active progress and you have to trust your intuition because things are starting to, you're in a planning phase right now, but still stable. Things are still going ahead. Keep moving forward, guys. Never give up. It's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be. See you in the next read.